All right, morning everyone. I'll give you some of our quick updates here at the city. First, I've mentioned a couple times publicly, but just wanted to say here that we are planning to close on the Motor Lodge on February 16th. Per the contract, we had a meeting internally last week, PPD, Public Works, Finance Department, everything, just to kind of button up everything on our side, that once we would take possession of the property, that we've obviously we've got to fence it, some other things like that, put some security in place while the letter of intent gets up and going. So as you guys saw from the council meeting, that letter of intent's ready to go. It's been approved already, and that was our goal, is that we didn't want to have a big delta of time between acquiring the property and getting something moving. So fortunately, although it has taken longer to close, just waiting on the owner was out of town and some nothing of any substance, but just it took us a little longer than we wanted to close. But the bright side of that is we're ready to go in terms of once we do take possession. So February 16th is the planned closing at this point for that. Want to give an update on Portland Loos. We had 3 of the 5 shipping on February 21st. We don't know that they ship on the 21st, so it'll be about 2 to 3 weeks once they arrive. So we don't control how quick they get here from the 21st, but once they arrive, they're about 2 to 3 weeks to put the infrastructure in the pad, all those other things to get them operational. Our plan right now is to put one at MLK Plaza, as we've discussed. That with DIB now going back before my administration, that there had been an agreement between them and council about getting some bathrooms there. We had moved from a brick and mortar to a Portland Loo, so we'll put one at MLK right there at Gregory, just on the north side of the median there, right across from Smart Bank. And then we're going to put one at Bruce Beach, and this ties into another update. You guys may recall I mentioned if there was some value of opening the first phase of Bruce Beach, that there was a lot of time that would create value to go ahead and do that, that we would consider it. That is not finalized yet, but I would say we're progressing down that idea that we would. I wanted to make sure that there was a restroom in place there, and so that is where one of the restrooms will go. But it's looking like right now, and again, this isn't final yet, that we could have a phase 1 open at some point in March, whereas the phase 2 would not be done until October. So I felt like that was enough time to create some value for the citizen, to let them use the playground, the pedestrian bridge, and all of that. So there would still be phase 2 construction, be a fence along the same geographic line there to the south and to the west of the completed project that you see. So if that holds,
bridge would be open.
Yes,
That'd be
that's
one.
correct. So the goal, if that remains, so still we're dotting our I's on that. But if we're talking about a 6 or 7 month gap that includes the spring and the summer, then that's something we'll entertain. If we thought it was going to be something like 45 or 60 days, then we would have. Then we would probably just wait for the whole project to be done. We wanted there to be some value to do that. So, so again, that's not finalized yet, but we're looking more intently at that now that we've seen what that gap may be. And then the third one would go at the skate park. So we would put one at the skate park, one at MLK, one at Bruce Beach. Now we purchased 5, but we aren't having the 4th and 5th shipped yet because we're working through. I'm looking at partnering with DIB and the University of West Florida about putting one perhaps at Museum Plaza, right there behind the museum, and working in partnership with UWF. We've had a great conversation with them, working on some final details there. And then the 5th one at this point would probably be a second restroom at Bruce Beach. We had initially kind of talked about putting 2 there, but I think the need of having 1 at the skate park. And remember, the value of these is that they're modular, so we could, if we see greater need somewhere else, we'll plan for that, and if we need to adjust, it allows us to do it as opposed to a brick and mortar structure. So again, more to come, but those are supposed to be heading our way on February 21st, the first 3. American Magic, our latest update there is I feel very, very confident where we are on terms of the lease. We're just putting the finishing touches. We have sent them a lease back to the American Magic folks to let them look at and to go through. My hope is to have it on the February 22nd City Council agenda for approval. I'm not committing to that, nor am I committing them to that yet, because we'll know probably in the next week or so, depending on how many red lines or revisions that they're going to be sending back to us, if we can meet that time window. Because to have it on the 22nd agenda, by the time you work backwards on that schedule, we're talking about we probably need something back from them pretty final by the 7th or so. And so again, I don't want to put any undue pressure or with any certainty that we're going to do that. But my intent is to get it ready for the February 22nd council agenda, or 23rd. I may have my date wrong, that Thursday. And so again, I'll continue to update you guys weekly on that. And also, we believe that that Terry Hutchinson, the skipper of American Magic, will be in town on February 26th, which is that Monday. That he'll be in from Barcelona. So one way or the other, even if the lease isn't complete, our goal is to work with him, and we may move that press conference to Monday and make him available for the media and everything. Tallahassee, certainly appreciate the delegation. On the first funding list on the Senate side was the airport, Baptist Hospital, and Bay Bluffs Park. So very thankful for Senator Broxton and his team on that. And then I believe on the House side was just the airport. But as you guys know, this is just the first step in seeing if these projects end up getting funded. So they have dollar amounts. Excuse me. They have dollar amounts tied to them, but a lot more work yet to come. So we can get those amounts, or I know it's been posted publicly. But very encouraged to see 3 big projects: Airport, Baptist, and Bay Bluffs Park, all making some progress in Tallahassee. So, and I'm heading over there tomorrow morning, and I'll be talking about that and some other things over there. I'll be over there Wednesday and Thursday. So the welcome sign, Pensacola welcome sign there on coming off the 3 Mile Bridge was approved by FDOT Monday morning. So we're going to be starting the bid process pretty much ASAP. Yeah. Well, by next Friday. There you go. So it'll be your exact date that it'll go. That the project will go to bid. So that's where we are there. And Park Mobile continues to build its clientele. We're up to 10,999 app transactions through January, and we're at 8,557 on Park Pensacola. And I may have misspoke. I can't remember if I may have said March 1st. I meant April 1st for the. We will continue to have the Park Pensacola app running until April 1st. That I want to say I might have accidentally said inadvertently March 1st. So we will continue February and March. We'll continue to have the old app open. But the trajectory is good. We continue to see now Park Mobile outpacing the old app, and that's what we want to continue to see to make sure we're getting the word out there. Excited about the streetscape restoration at Belmont and Villers. The CRA has awarded a contract. It's resetting some of those lifting pavers that are coming out of the sidewalk, the benches, remove the tree gates that are grates that are lifting. It's about $265,000 project, including the 10% contingency. So about $250,000 of refreshing going into the Belmont and Villers area. And that will come for a vote for council, I believe, to award that bid coming up here in the first meeting in February. A little delay with our Bearcat. It will be here this summer. Our hope was for the Bearcat to be here for PPD in March. It was. They were, interestingly enough, they were notified by we were notified by the manufacturer that a federal order was placed and superseded all other builds. So the military or something of that ilk needed a Bearcat a little faster than we did. So I don't know that we had a lot of decision in that, but we understand. And of course, we want to make sure that everyone has what they need. So just probably a 3-month delay or so in receiving that. We have a partnership with Forerunner. We have a new tool for our community to help our stakeholders have flood risk data for individual properties. So once this gets up and running, you'll have access to building and insurance compliance requirements, and you'll be able to share documents pertinent to the property, such as an elevation certificate, thing like that. So just an enhancement of technology to help you with your insurance carrier and with getting some extra data. Excited about that. We have a Resilient Florida workshop. Cynthia Cannon and her group, they had a community engagement workshop to discuss the vulnerability assessment planning process. So there's a second in-person meeting February 15th at 4:30 on the first floor in Reeves, if you want to be part of that Resilient Florida workshop. And I think we had about 40 people join us for the virtual event. One other thing, and really this is a means of clarification, you'll see on the agenda for this meeting about off-street parking. You'll see it mentioned about the CRA, that changing the requirements for off-street parking. And since there's been so much conversation about parking in terms of park mobile and things like that, this will easily be confused. We were kind of joking in our meeting with council staff yesterday that the agenda item that references parking has nothing to do with the parking reform, and the agenda item that doesn't mention parking is the one that we're doing with parking reform. So what you have in front of you is what you'll see that mentions parking within the CRA. There was a change previous to me that allowed, within the land development code, that allowed different parking minimums for different uses based on being in the CRA. For whatever reason, it only was the urban core. It didn't do it in West Side and East Side, even though that was the intent. So it's really just a cleaning up of what was intended before we got here. But someone may see changing parking requirements and think that we've made some kind of that we're making some comprehensive change. So it's just what's already in effect in the CRA urban core will also be in effect in the West Side and the East Side. So you'll see that on the agenda item. But when it says the word parking, I just wanted to make sure that we clarify that this is really us truing up what was already intended to be put in place, not any kind of new ordinance or new initiative from us. And that is all I've got. So yeah, I'll take any questions that you have.
On the Portland Blues, I guess when y'all get them in, I guess how quickly will they be installed, and which kind of order are we to be going in? Will they all be installed at the same time?
I'd have to get with Public Works on that. We haven't set a specific order on that. I mean, I think all of them we want with some kind of urgency, right? Palafox Market I know is ready to get theirs. Skate Park certainly ready, and I mean, if I had to say off the cuff right now, probably those two would go in before Bruce Beach would. But my guess is it's not going to be large gaps of time between each one of those. It's ultimately there's a little infrastructure, about a $10,000-$20,000 cost that we've got to put in. I call it a pad. The folks that are going to put it in, it's going to be more complex than that. But in terms of running utilities and things like that. But we don't think that they're going to take very long. Our general time frame was 2 to 3 weeks once we've received it for us to put those in. So, and especially if we know that they're coming, obviously we can prepare as best we can. Again, it would be unfair to hold to an exact date at this point, but I mean, I would think by the end of March it would probably get and assuming that it's a reasonable shipping time. If for whatever reason they get delayed for get here for 2-3 months, then obviously that would impact our ability to schedule. So there's some unknowns left, but certainly we're going to be as urgent as possible, and we're excited to get those in. And again, really just the start of what's to come, to have something that makes a little more sense, that's more modular, gives us more options, opportunities, easier to maintain, all those kinds of things.
Mayor, the Portland Loo that you're going to put in at the Martin Luther King Plaza, do you know, will it be open around the clock? There's a history there, and I was just wondering if the DIB has the rules of the road for this, or does the city make?
I'm not, you'd have to ask Walker or DIB on that, what their intent is. I mean, ultimately, that one's going in per the agreement previous to me, of the 50-50 match and some of those other things that, and why I say that is obvious that the primary use of one going there, if Palafox Market wasn't there, that wouldn't probably be the first one of our top 3 locations, right? In terms of all the parks we have and all of that. So, I mean, it's going there because of the Downtown Improvement Board's initiative request and partnership with us. So, that, my expectation is that's going to be their call and their maintenance and their, all of those other things. That's, now we'll manage the project, we'll get it built, and put in place, but I would probably defer to them in terms of how they plan on, operating and using that.
The Pensacola Motor Lodge, we're ready, you say ready to go, that means once you sign the contract, you'll be ready to put bids out?
Right, we're going to start once we close, then we can put out the letter of intent that was approved by council. And remember, instead of doing an RFP,
Right.
we went with this new template, which is unprecedented for the city of Pensacola, is that, and we're also doing at 101 West Main, where the old Pensacola Sports is. And if we decide to go down the affordable housing road at Malcolm Young, would probably be something like that as well, is that what we're really doing is we're not asking who will do it the cheapest. We're asking you to say, what's your idea for this and what have you done? Because what we want is not projects we're talking about for 4 and 5 years to get done. We want to know that you've gotten these things across the finish line. So that's what that letter of intent format allows. Is what we hope is we get lots of interest from folks that say, hey, I've repurposed this hotel in this part of the country, and we think you'd take this many units, you demo these, you'd keep all of them. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of different perspectives, but that's what we wanted, because we're not walking into any of these projects thinking that the mayor or someone on staff has the perfect answer for exactly what the highest and best use is, right? I mean, that would be short-sighted and kind of egotistical on my part to say this is exactly what it should be. You've got to keep all the buildings. And maybe there's projects where there's a place where the only reason you're doing it is for a certain reason that you want to mention. But in our case, let's let people that have done this before tell us. And I think, Rick, we're going to get a real clear picture if we get 7, 8, 10 or more, types of letters of intent. I think we're going to see an overarching theme. Maybe maybe the majority of them say you demo part of it or all of it, or that it's 60% AMI or 30%. We're going to start to learn based on all of that feedback what seems to be the prevailing. Because we want them to be executed, right? So I can have all the hopes and dreams of the world on an idea about one particular piece of property, but if it's not feasible for anyone to do, then it sits there vacant. So that's why I'm really looking forward to this letter of intent format, is just to see. I think it's going to allow us to be smarter and more diligent about what we propose there. So, yep.
Mayor, when you go down to Tallahassee, you said you're going this week?
Yeah, I'm going. I am going tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow and Thursday.
Will you speak at any committee hearings, or have you done that this session?
No, and I don't think I don't intend to. Not for any reason. Our goal. We've had this on the books for a while. As we try to schedule these regularly, and ultimately it's just down there to show face and make sure that we're advocating, for these projects. It certainly helped us. I feel very confident it helped us a lot. When I went down there multiple times last year in terms of American Magic and Hollis T. Williams and those types of things, and so I feel like that's one of the primary duties of this job, is to get down there and fight for what you want to see happen in your city, and not just hope someone does it for you. And so our lobbying team does a great job down there, and but as any lobbyist will tell you, there's no replacement for having the person that's asking come be there in person. And so we're just down there to have those meetings with the pertinent agencies, departments, elected officials, and make sure we're advocating for our position.
Do you have any comment on the city winning the Confederate Monument lawsuit?
No, not really. Again, I think it's I'm staying hyper focused on all these things that are affecting us day to day, and so certainly I'm aware of the result of that from late last week, but again, I'm staying focused on stuff that's impacting the city. So.
Are you, I know this was asked last week, but today there's a committee hearing on the bill to require the monuments basically to come under jurisdiction of the state, and it's retroactive to 2017. Is your lobbying people or anything looking at that or worried about that at all?
We haven't had a direct conversation about it, but I maintain the same position I had before. I mean, there's several things that are being talked about in Tallahassee that will affect us right now. That we're kind of in a little bit of a wait and see approach. So of course, the state preempts us to do something. We'll adhere to that rule. So but there's not a whole lot we can do at this point, or we're not having conversations advocating for or against that. As a matter of fact, I mean, I haven't even had a conversation with our lobbyists about that particular issue. But what we're following is the homestead exemption, which goes up to $50,000. That could be a potential about $1 million recurring loss to city operations. The Pensacola Energy, the utility, city-owned utility, or where there'd be a cap on what could go to the general fund. That would be a significant hindrance to the normal operating budget. And there's the conversation out there about business tax receipts and basically business licenses, whether they're going to abolish those altogether. Kind of ironic, because we were looking at overhauling that and probably lowering that cost, making it a little more clear for business owners. I've been there, trying to kind of simplify that and it not be as detailed as the city's done it historically with numbers of employees and things like that. I was looking at a way to overhaul and simplify it, but we'll see what happens in Tallahassee, because it may be a moot practice at this point, which is also about another $1 million expense to the city if those three things were to go through. So we're concerned about those things, obviously, because that's going to require, it's going to impact operations. There's no doubt about it. Less revenue coming in, and could put us in a position to have to decide, what we can or can't do. You have less revenue coming in, and then that also may mean less service somewhere else, but to try to make up that delta. So it's too early to say. Other than, it seems like the homestead exemption's really getting some steam, but at this point, the other two, it's so early now, we don't, it's probably too early to speculate whether it will or won't. But to your question, we monitor and keep an eye on a lot of those things, and certainly the ones that are going to be affecting us financially for sure. Yeah.
Mayor, the ethics disclosure rules, Form 6, you filled out Form 6, I guess, as the mayor, since you've been mayor. That's the...
I haven't. I'm sure. No, I haven't. But obviously, I've heard the conversation around the state about it, and I have no concern with filling it out or anything.
A number of Florida municipalities have formed a class action lawsuit regarding that, and most of these are small cities where the council people are not paid or they volunteer.
Right.
So I just wondered if you had any feedback from the City of Pensacola regarding that requirement.
No, we haven't. As far as the City of Pensacola goes, no. I mean, we haven't taken a position on that. I understand both sides of that. I mean, especially when I know we've had an instance of that locally too, where someone who's ultimately volunteering says, is it that maybe it's a pretty high standard to hold someone that's really just trying to serve their community, that every financial detail of their life be out ultimately a volunteer position. I also say on the other side of transparency and people wanting to know all of those things, and so I can't speak for the city that the city has a position on it. My intent was I saw it, and I'll plan on filling it out as I'm required.
Oh, you haven't, okay, I got you. You haven't done it yet, but because it's new.
Right, not out of any kind of protest at this point. Just my expectations, I heard, the mayor of the City of Pensacola is going to have to fill it out, and the mayor of the City of Pensacola will fill it out, so. It is what it is, but that doesn't. I'm not undercutting the position of others, especially low or very little pay, types of community councils and things like that. I understand that argument. I think that's a legitimate one. To make, is to say, you're already in public service, ultimately volunteering in public service. That the Form 6 is pretty robust and what you need to disclose. So I see both sides of that, but again, we're not taking any stance on not filling it out or anything.
Do you have any thoughts or opinions about the open District 4 seat on the county commission?
Puts their name in the ring to serve their community, is always a good thing. I at different levels, obviously, I know a lot of the folks that are, being discussed, at this point, and have, again, a lot of respect for anybody that's willing to put their name in for that. I think the governor's office is going to have to, kind of decide, is it, they want a shorter appointment, or do they want someone who's going to run? There's a lot of factors that are outside our discussion, our opinion, that really come into play here. So that'll be that decision will be made in Tallahassee. But certainly whoever's in that seat plays an important role in the city, and so I've talked to everyone that you guys have talked to. I've reached out one point or another, and again, I got a lot of respect for everybody. I'm not going to speculate as to who's going to get it or anything like that. That's not really even my decision. But I know Buck, I know Jared, obviously I know Jim, I know Walker, and I have respect for all those guys. So certainly we'll see what happens. All right, thanks.